go to Shar B'Tachan. But before we start, everybody bring a pen and a paper, because we're going to do a little exercise when we do the gate of trust. We're going to do a little drawing exercise. So bring a pen and paper, and we're going to start with the Torah portion, and you'll see why I'm starting with the Torah portion. Oh, what, you have it? Oh, Golden Meir. I can't hear you. Unmute. Oh, you have your notebook. Yes, good.
My Golden Meir notebook seems appropriate for that.
Yes, very appropriate. So I want to bring everyone up to speed to the story. We're in Parshas Vayishlach. Jacob was living in Mesopotamia, Naram Naharayim, Haran, by his father-in-law, Lavan. And he now is married with 4 wives: Leah, Rachel, Zilpah, and Bilhah. He now has 11 sons and 1 daughter, Dinah. And it's time, God tells him, to return to the Holy Land. And as he's making preparations to return, guess what? He gets wind of the fact that his brother Esau, 22 years later, is now coming towards him with an army of 400 barbarians to attack and to kill Yaakov. He hasn't forgotten the hurt, the slight, that Yaakov not only got his own blessings from his father Isaac, Yitzchak, he took Esau's blessings, because Esau was not worthy of assuming the leadership role as a patriarch of the Jewish people. And this is where the story begins in this Torah portion. And there's some so fascinating insights. And you know, I always say I share what inspires me, and I hope that it resonates with you as well. So what happens? Yaakov hears that Esau's coming to attack him and meet him and kill him. So Yaakov prepares in 3 ways. First, negotiations, gifts. He's going to send gifts to appease Esau. Prayer, you pray to God, help me. And 3, he prepares for battle. So he prepares 3 approaches to Esau coming to attack. And the Torah portion starts with a very fascinating conversation. And it says, Vayishlach Yaakov malachim lefanav el Esav achiv. And Jacob sent messengers before him to Esau, his brother. And what did he tell his messengers to say to him? Kayamar avdecha Yaakov im Lavan garti. Tell my brother Esau that I have sojourned. I lived with my father-in-law Lavan, and I've stayed there till now. And the classic commentary says, what is the relevance of telling him I lived with my father-in-law? Where else did you live? With someone else's father-in-law. So Rashi says, im Lavan garti, the numerical value of the word garti is 613. What he's telling his brother Esau, I lived with my father-in-law Lavan. We know Lavan was corrupt, immoral, an idolater. He did not follow monotheism like his son-in-law. And so he says, with my father-in-law Lavan garti v'taryag mitzvah shamarti. And I kept the 613 mitzvahs. Now we know this is before the giving of the Torah. Yet we know that the matriarchs and patriarchs, through prophecy, kept the mitzvahs. They prayed, they did many of the mitzvahs, even though they weren't obligated to keep the mitzvahs. So they led a very moral, ethical, observant, Torah-observant life. Now let me ask you a question. Esau, he's an idolater, he's a murderer, he's a hunter, he's a killer, and other terrible things that he did. You think he cares that Esau kept the mitzvahs? You think he cares? Why is Yaakov sending a message with gift saying, and tell my brother I kept the mitzvahs, even though I was living with my father-in-law, the corrupt guy Lavan? You think Esau cares? And herein, in this opening Torah portion, lies a beautiful, powerful insight into how we should approach the situation in Israel and the world over now. where we're being attacked from all sides, where anti-Semitism and anti-Jewish sentiments are horrific. 400 barbarians plus Hamas, Hezbollah, 7 fronts are attacking Jews. The terrible Rabbi Tzvi who got murdered in Abu Dhabi, the 10-year-old boy who got murdered yesterday in a terrorist attack in Jerusalem. The story of this week's Torah portion is our story, and now let's analyze it. So Esau comes and he wants to kill Yaakov. Isn't that the story of our lives? There's always someone coming to attack. And Yaakov tells Esau, I'm living with Laban, but guess what? I'm keeping the mitzvahs. That's our tale. We're living in a dark world. We're living in an exile. We're living in a place now that's, who knows what's going to happen with the world. But guess what? The Jewish nation, what's the secret to our survival? Taryag mitzvah shamarti. I'm living in exile. I'm living in America. I'm living in Europe. I'm living in Israel. I'm in a dark place, but Esau, you will not prevail. You know why? My secret of survival is not that we're the strongest, not that we have the new arrow interception systems. Taryag mitzvah shamarti. The reason the Jews have survived the Crusaders, the Spanish expulsion, the massacres, the murders, the pogroms, the Romans, the Greeks, the Nazis, is because Taryag mitzvah shamarti. We kept our connection to God through Torah and mitzvahs. So Yaakov is telling Esau the secret to Jewish survival. You think you're going to come with 400 men? You got something else coming to you. Do you know that our secret has nothing to do with our strength? It is our inner strength, our connection to God, why we will prevail. He's warning him, and he's telling him nothing you do is going to get us because we have God on our side. That's the secret to our survival. That's how we now have to look at the situation. We need to send gifts. We need negotiations. We need peace treaties. We need army, as we know. And we need prayer above everything. We need to address every area. However, our secret is Taryag mitzvah shamarti. And there's another very beautiful insight that comes on later in the parsha. So we know what happens when Esau actually meets Jacob. There's an attitude adjustment. I'm going to share a very fascinating medrash about that. But moving forward, look what happens when Esau meets Jacob later. And he sees Jacob and he embraces him and he kisses him and they wept. And by Esau enav, and he lifts up his eyes. This is Esau finally meeting Jacob. And he says, Vayaras hanashim, he saw the women, Ves hayeladim, and the children. Vayomer, and he says to his brother, Mi elelach, who are these people? So he says, Yaakov responds to his brother, Hayeladim, the children, Asher chanan elikim es abdecha, who God has graciously given thy servant Yaakov. These are my children. Now, 1 minute. He sees Jacob with a whole entourage, women, children. He says, who are they? Come on. He doesn't know who they are. What does he think? Yaakov is leaving with someone else's children, someone else's wives, right? What he's asking him is not who are they physically. He's asking them, how is it possible, Yaakov, that you were able to leave Lavan with all your wives and children intact? All of them wearing yarmulkes and tzitzis, all of them following your path. How is it even possible? Hundreds of children. I mean, 11 children. But how is it possible that you have survived darkness with light? How is it even possible? So Yaakov says, you know what the secret is? The same thing he said before, Chanan. Chanan means the gift from God. But Chanan means, you know why? We survive darkness. We survive a society that is so corrupt. How do we Jews rise above all the corruption and evil? Chanan, we keep the Torah, we keep the mitzvahs. What's Chanan? Chanan are the 3 mitzvahs that are the foundation of Jewish home, entrusted to the Jewish women. Ches, challah, kosher food. Nun, nida, family purity, the woman using the mikveh after her menstrual cycle. the laws of Jewish intimacy, and Nun, Neirot Shabbos Kodesh, Shabbat, keeping Shabbos, lighting those Shabbos candles and keeping Shabbos. So when Yosef questions him, said, Jacob, how is it possible that you left your father in Lavan and you weren't impacted by him? You're still someone who believes in God. You're still doing Torah and mitzvahs. He says, Chanan, the mitzvahs of the foundation of the home we kept, and that's why my family is intact spiritually, because of this strong foundation. So in two places, it leads us to showing us the secret of our survival, which is so much, I'm going to repeat in a second. It's such a simple thing, but we have to reiterate it to strengthen ourselves and remind ourselves, as we're going to see also in the gate of trust, that our survival does not depend on the physical world. We are above nature. It's all miracles. It's all miracles. Again, to reiterate, how did we survive all these centuries when everything was against us? Pharaoh in Egypt. How did we even leave Egypt? So if you think time and time again, so let's put ourselves now and look at the world now and say, listen, guys, we are going to survive this. History has proven it. God has proven it to us. As long as we keep that connection and to God. Yeah. Meredith, you could share it. Meredith writes, the Iran bombing without real damage is a modern day miracle. I remember my father reported on Entebbe. Remember the Jews who were taken hostages in Entebbe with Idi Amin, Dada, and that Purim, everyone got dressed up like Idi Amin. Everybody bought the Idi Amin, Dada uniform. And my father reported in the newspapers, in the miracle of God. And people said, oh, miracle? The army was well trained. Every hostage was freed, and Nebuch, the one that was killed, was Bibi Netanyahu's brother. He was Nebuch the kapara, right, the korban, the holy offering. But not to have one hostage hurt, everyone saved under, who does a rescue like that?
I'll never forget that.
Unbeliever, right?
My father came to camp. It was visiting day. And the first thing he said when he hugged me was, I have to tell you, there's been a miracle of biblical proportions. So that stayed in my head for the rest of my life.
Yeah, a miracle of biblical. And to deny the miracles is the worst thing. So the first attack by Iran and that one bomb hit Israel, what happened over there? So Meredith asked me to repeat the acronym for the 3 pivotal mitzvahs, which the foundation of the Jewish home entrusted to the Jewish women. Chanan, Elokim, Ches, Chala, which refers to kosher food. Nun, Nida, which refers to the laws of mikveh, family purity. And Nun, again, final Nun, which refers to Neirot Shabbos Kodesh, which is Shabbos, keeping Shabbos. Keeping Shabbos.
Can I ask a really, really quick question? I'm sorry.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. This is supposed to be conversation. Go ahead.
So post-menopause, are women supposed to be going to the mikveh?
So if you have never, yes. So you go to the mikveh, you're fine. If you've always been going, your final time would be right after your menopause, your last period. A beautiful thing happened. There was a wedding recently in our shul, and the bride went to the mikveh, obviously. She's Balas Shuva, and her mother called me, and she said, Fred, I never went to the mikveh. I would love to go to the mikveh with my daughter. So we sat down, we learned the laws. She was already in menopause, and she went to the mikveh. She came out. She says, Freida, it was the most magnificent experience I ever had. I took her. I didn't go into the waters with her. I stood outside, but I took her and I made sure, she was comfortable. So if you have never gone and you want to go and you're in menopause or whatever, call me. I will lead you to it. It's the most magnificent experience, I have to tell you.
But I mean, if you've never done that and then you go later in life, it's really just a spiritual experience for you. You're not observing a commandment, right? I mean,
you are. Because, something, a very interesting thing happened. A guy wrote to the Rebbe that he's marrying a girl, but her parents don't keep family purity, so she was not born with the laws of mikvah. Her father, the Rebbe told him, don't worry. The one time that the mother will go to the mikvah will obliterate, so to speak, all the past. So never underestimate the one time a person has to go, it covers everything. That's the beauty of a mitzvah. It's not all or nothing. So even if a person hasn't gone and they're already menopause, you go once, you don't have to go again. Obviously, you're never getting your period. And I could explain a little bit more. People equate mikvah with cleanliness. There's nothing to do with cleanliness. You could take my shower, my jacuzzi bathtub could be better than a mikvah, so to speak. So that's why we know it's nothing to do with cleanliness. It's a spiritual thing. When you go into mikvah, one little tidbit, you are bringing back wholeness to the universe. The Kabbalah says that when you go to mikvah and you come out of those waters, the gates of the Garden of Eden open once again, because it was hidden from us. When Adam and Chava were banished, the doors of the Garden of Eden were sealed, and no one knows where it is. Otherwise, we all want to go there. It's the fountain of youth. Ponce de Leon, remember he found the fountain of youth? Or he thought he did. So you want to have the fountain of youth? Go to the mikvah. When you come out of that waters and you're reborn, because when you hold your breath underwater, it's like you're not alive for a second. The doors of the gates of the Garden of Eden open, and you're able to heal the world, heal the cracks in the universe that happened as people transgressed and moved away from God's light. That's a very beautiful thing in Kabbalah. So going back to the Parsha, so this is what Yaakov tells Esau, the secret of Jewish survival. This is a very interesting medrash. It says Esau sent messengers, and Rashi says they weren't just messengers, they were angels disguised as men. And we see throughout Genesis, the three angels disguised as men come to Abraham. Here, Esau sends angels. Jacob sends angels. And the medrash says a very interesting story. The angels begin beating up Esau. They want to create an attitude adjustment. So they beat him up. They go, "Oh, you're Esau. You're coming to attack our master here. We're going to show you a lesson." And they start hitting him. This is the Medrash says. So Esau says, "Stop, stop. You know who I am?" They go, "Who are you?" "My grandfather was Abraham." So they said, "So what?" And they continue giving him patch. They're beating him up. He said, "Stop, stop. You know who I am? Who are you?" "I'm the son of Isaac. I'm Isaac, Yitzchak's son." "So what?" They keep beating him up. Third time, he says, "Gentlemen, stop. Let me tell you who I am. Who are you?" "I'm Jacob's twin brother." "Oh, you're Jacob's twin brother? Okay, we won't beat you up anymore." They did an attitude adjustment. This is what the Medrash says. And now, if you fast forward, I want to bring up one more beautiful point, is what happens before Jacob meets Esau. Remember the story? There's a very cryptic story. They cross the Yabok River, right? And they're planning for their encounter with Esau. And Jacob remembers he left little jars on the other side of the river. And last year we discussed this on Kabbalah, so I'm just going to take one point that I think is very relevant to our discussion. And this time, Jacob is attacked by Esau's angel. So there, Jacob's angels beat up Esau. Now he's being attacked by Esau's host angel. If you remember the story, an angel disguised as a man comes and starts beating up Jacob. And Jacob prevails. That's why his name gets changed to Yisrael. He has prevailed over the host, over the angel. So the angel, where does the angel dislocate his sciatica nerve? So the question is, and that's why we don't eat now meat from that area, from the sciatica. Even if it's a kosher cow, we don't eat the area of the sciatica nerve, to remember how Jacob's sciatica nerve area was dislocated by that host angel of Esau. So the question is now, if the angel wants to kill Yaakov, right? Why doesn't he punch him in the face, grab him by the neck? Why is he attacking him by the hip, by the loin area, by the sciatica? So tying into the discussion we had before, the commentaries say he didn't want to kill Esau. Esau didn't want to kill Jacob here. The host angel wasn't out to kill Jacob. He was out to maim his loins, his hip, his sciatica. He wanted to get to the children. That's a childbirth. The area of the hip is how do you conceive a child, right? The male has intimacy with his wife. So he didn't want to kill Jacob. He just wanted to hinder his ability to have children. Okay? Symbolic of his ability to have children. He already had children. What is he trying to say? I know I can't get to you, Jacob. You're a holy roller. You're a patriarch. You're a tzaddik. You're a prophet, but I can get to your children. Your children I'm going to attack. I'm going to make sure they become immoral. They fall into darkness. They give up on their connection to God. And then I'll get you. So the Torah says the struggle was not about killing. The struggle was about, I'm going to get your children. So when Jacob meets Esau and Esau says, who are these children? Jacob says, how did we survive? By keeping Torah and mitzvahs, by imparting to our children the love and the joy of Judaism and making them want to continue the legacy and the traditions and connection to God. So the struggle was a symbolic struggle of, I'm going to get your kids if I don't get you. So we see the two struggles. Jacob's angel beats up Esau, and Esau's angel goes after Jacob's children. I'm going to get your kids, which is for us worse than getting us. You know, parents say, if only I could take my child's pain, if I can only take my child's suffering, take it on to me. I can handle it so much. And my daughter was in labor, and I'm like, oh, I wish I was handling that pain. It's so hard to see your daughter laboring. But mother, I can handle the pain, but my child never. So that's parenting. That's the love of parenting. So we're going to digest this for 2 minutes. Does anybody have any questions or concerns or contradictions?
Well, I guess I just am curious. You know, there are many references to angels, not many, but to angels in the book of Genesis. And I know that like the pop culture thing is that angels are Christian imagery. Well, this is where they got the imagery. But what I wonder is, am I correct that we don't see many angels outside of the book of Genesis? And why would that be?
Very good question. So first of all, the first question is, do we believe in angels? And absolutely we do. We do. And angels are very much part of Jewish life. So you're right. We don't see that many angels, but Elijah the prophet comes to every bris, right? Comes to our Seder table, drinks from our wine. We have the cup of Elijah. But throughout history, yes, we don't see that many angels in a revealed manner, but in a hidden manner, yes. Throughout the books of the prophets, you'll see the stories of the angels by the giving of the Torah, the story. Oh, that's also in Genesis. So it's true, we don't see that many angels.
But I mean, they're mostly in the book of Genesis, correct?
Yes. And I think this is my answer. There might be more to it. I could do a little research. Is remember the matriarchs and the patriarchs. There's 3 patriarchs and 4 matriarchs. After that, there were no more matriarchs or patriarchs. Why wasn't Moses a patriarch? The answer is, to be a matriarch and patriarch, Maisa Ava Siman Labanim. God designated these leaders, these matriarchs and patriarchs, as the official mothers and fathers. We all are descendants from them. And everyone came from them. Remember, we all came from the 12 tribes. And because the matriarchs and the patriarchs not only gave us, were our original parents, right? They also gave us what we said before, that whatever they did paved the way through the jungle, paved the path for all generations. So there, I think this might be one answer, must be more, is that the angels were very pivotal in that, and the revelation of the angels in their making a mark for all generations. That's what I think. But I'm not sure. I would have to do a little more research.
No,
but
that's okay. I mean,
that might be one of the reasons.
No, I mean, it's interesting. I just have sometimes wondered is over time, you know, in rabbinic times, as Christianity became a larger and larger religion, was there a de-emphasis? I don't mean taking out of the Torah, but was there certainly been a de-emphasis on the concept of angels? Because in the diaspora anyway, people think of it as, even though I get I know where it comes from. So I just wondered, like, from a rabbinic perspective, has it been, first of all, why is it only in the book of Genesis? But then also, has it been de-emphasized in our belief system? And maybe that's because I'm not Chabad or I'm not Orthodox, that because the feeling was it had been co-opted by Christianity. But that's more like sociocultural than religious and spiritual. But I just wonder.
Right. But like when the Rebbe started to speak about Mashiach, that there's going to be a Mashiach, and Rambam writes it, Ani ma'amin be'emunah shalema bevias HaMashiach. One of the 10 sayings of Maimonides is Mashiach has come. We have to believe in Mashiach. So it's not a Chabad thing, it's a Jewish thing. Everyone came out and said, what do you mean? This is a Christian concept, the second coming, the resurrection. We don't believe it. But they don't realize Christianity took it from us. So a lot of times what you just mentioned, our Jewish traditions from Torah, Ezekiel, very good, or co-opted by the other religions. Co-opted, many, albeit misdirected ideas, but co-opted and changed, which we don't believe in. We don't believe that JC is going to be the savior in the second coming. We believe that he was a corrupt individual, but okay, he's a Jew that wandered off the path and became a false prophet, whatever you want to call him. Definitely idolatry, definitely not part of Jewish customs. But that doesn't mean just because the Christian co-opted and changed our beautiful traditions, we shouldn't hold on to it or repeat it or talk about it. But you're right. In the next Torah books of the Torah, you don't hear the stories of the angels so much. You don't. But do you know that every Friday night is a beautiful thing that tells us that Malachei, we sing Shalom Aleichem Malachei, right? And the story goes like this. What is that song? It says that when you come Friday night, 2 angels come to your door, a positive angel and a not a positive angel. And they look into your home and they look in the window and they see a Shabbos table, challah, a family sitting together, eating, singing, talking, dressed up. They give a blessing. Every week your home should look like that. And the other angel has to say, Amen. And if they come to a home, a Jewish home, and they look in the window and you don't even know it's Shabbos, there's no candles, there's no family, there's no tablecloth, the negative angel says, every week your home shall be like that. And the other angel has to say, Amen, so be it. So there is the idea that the angels visit us every week. The question is, what are they going to see when they look into your window? I remember once my mother was in my house and my cleaning lady came Shabbos and she started to take off my tablecloth from my Shabbos table because the meal was over. So my mother said, no. Till Shabbos ends, your house has to look Shabbos Dec. Because all week I keep my dining room table uncovered. I'm not set for Shabbos. Come Shabbos, I put my tablecloth with all my candlesticks, and my mother saw that it was being taken away before Shabbos. She says, no. Till Shabbos ends, your house has to look Shabbos Dec. For this reason. So we do believe, one more interesting Kabbalistic insight with angels, the Torah says something very fascinating, that whenever you do something good, you create an angel. And whenever you do something negative, it takes away an angel. So at times you wonder, do I have a guardian angel? You do. If sometimes you feel a whisper, you feel a little wind blowing, you feel like something is there, but you're not sure. Guess what? It's your guardian angel. They walk with you through life. So the more good you do, the more angels you create. So think about it. Every time you do a good deed, you're surrounded by more and more angels who protect you. You never heard somebody say, I know for sure there was a guardian angel that saved me from that car crash. I know for sure I was pulled out of that hole by my angel. And everyone looks at you and like, yeah, crazy lady. It was the police who saved you. It was the fire department who pulled you out. It was the neighbor who helped you. Guess what? Angels are disguised as people. There are people who are angels, and there are angels who look like people. You have 2 types of angels. So never underestimate the power of your goodness, because every time you do something good, an angel is created that walks with you through life. And that's why sometimes, like, you wonder, was it somebody over my shoulder? Yes, it was your angel who's with you. And it's documented in the Torah. Documented in the Torah. So keep those angels coming, everybody. We need it more than ever. We need it more than ever. So each one had an angel. So another thing I want to, before I go into a very tragic story that happens in this week's Torah portion, another story, interesting thing is that there's something here, psychology. I want to share a little psychology. When Esav meets his brother, what does he say to him? I want to read you what he says to him. He says to him, sorry. When Jacob sends his messengers to Esau, he says, guys, when you meet up with Esau to bring my gifts, he's going to ask you 3 questions. He's going to ask you, who do you belong to? Where are you going? And what is all this? Jacob anticipated that Esau was going to ask 3 pivotal questions. And he says, and what should you answer? Tell them it's my master Jacob who sent me, okay? And where are you going? And who do you belong to? I mean, who do you belong to means, sorry, I lost my train of thought. Where are you? Do you belong to? Say it's from your master Jacob. Where are you going? I'm going to you to bring you gifts. And what is this all before you? Because we have a mission that we have to accomplish. He's going to ask you these 3 questions, and these are the 3 answers that he's going to give you. And the commentaries ask, what is this conversation? First of all, how did he know what Esau is going to ask? And why is it so important for him to tell them the answers? When Esau asks the messengers, where are you from? He say, my master Jacob. They don't know where they're from. The second question is going to ask you, what is all this? You say, these are gifts for you. And where are you going? We're coming to you. But they need to be told by Jacob what to question and what to answer. Why does Jacob have to go over a perceived conversation that's going to happen? You understand the question here? What the commentaries are asking? Why is he prepping them for the most silly answers? You know, you send your child on an errand. You say, go give this to the neighbor. And the neighbor's going to say who it's from. You say, it's from mommy. And what is it? Say, hey, my mother is sending you a gift. And where are you going? I'm coming to you to bring you the gift. You don't need to tell your child the answers. It's common sense. But Jacob is describing a conversation that's not so much a conversation between him and Esau. It's a conversation that we have with ourselves where we question our role in life, our purpose in life, our mission in life. And it's also a question that the Esau's in our lives come to us to usurp our confidence, to undermine us, to mislead us. In life, we wake up in the morning and we say to ourselves, what am I doing here? Who am I? Who am I? Why am I even here? Does that ever happen to you? Wake up in the morning and you wonder, what is your mission? What is your purpose? Who am I? And where am I going? And what am I doing? So this could either be people who bring doubt to us, the naysayers, our so-called friends who say, really, what are you doing that for? What are you wasting your time? You think you could accomplish this? You're 1 in a million people on this earth. Why even bothering protesting against the campuses? What's wrong with you? Why are you wearing a necklace? You think your necklace is going to change anything? And then there's the Esau within ourselves, I know, that question us, that make us question ourselves. What am I doing here? Should I even been born? Do I even notice? Does anybody care about me? Does anybody look at me? This is something, the quintessential question that happens to people throughout our lives. We're questioning our identity. Well, maybe it's better to assimilate. What do I need this headache for? And the Torah portion is telling you, you should be very clear. Jacob tells his messenger, very clear. You're coming from Jacob. You think you were sent here by yourself? God sent you here. God sent you. You weren't born because it was an accident. Sometimes parents like to say, this child was an accident. We really didn't want to have any more children. So a mother told me the other day, and I'm like, and she said in front of her child, and I could just see that child's face. I was an accident. God meant for me to be here. Birth is God's way of telling you, you matter. You're needed. I put you on this earth for your mission, your purpose. You're not coincidentally born. Oh, upsy daisy. My parents didn't mean to conceive me. It was an accident. It didn't work, We really didn't want any more children. Every soul on earth has a purpose and a mission. So Jacob tells his messengers, Esau's going to question you. Where are you from? Who are you? You think you could come to me, the great Esau? You think you're going to bring me a gift? Where are you heading? You think you can have continuity, Jewish continuity? Tell me another Baba Maisa. So the Esau's come to question us, to undermine us, whether it's the Yetzer Hara evil inclination within you, your animalistic soul questioning your connection to God, or whether it's an outside force, government, people, haters questioning your existence. You say clearly, hello, everybody. I am a child of Jacob. My purpose and my mission is to transform this world and bring light and bring godliness into this world. And I am here for a reason. Never underestimate, never question why you're here. If you didn't mean to be here, you wouldn't be born, you wouldn't be here. So when the Esau's question our identity and our connections to undermine us, stand strong. Remember what Jacob tells his messengers. The answers might be obvious, but they're not so obvious. So this concludes Good Shabbos, Meredith. This concludes the conversation between Esau and Jacob. But it doesn't conclude the eternal conversation that we have. The conversation will go on. There's always going to be an Esau, and there's always going to be us, the Jacob. So now we could do two things. We could do, for the last 10 minutes, a little bit of the gate of trust. Should we do that? We'll do our little experiment. So everyone take your paper. This will be fun and easy. And draw two circles. One, how you perceive yourself, and one, how you perceive God. Or I should say, how do you perceive God and how do you perceive yourself? There's no wrong answer. How do you look at yourself in relation to God? Draw yourself a little circle, two circles. One is you and one is God. And when you're done drawing, let me know if you want to share it. You're on mute, Margaret.
Okay.
Now you can talk.
Do you mean how the circles relate to each other, whether they overlap, whether one's inside the other, that kind of thing?
Whatever you think. Do your circles overlap? Do they not overlap? That's up to you. How you perceive yourself in relation to God is the experiment, is the drawing, is the question. Tell me when you're finished. Anybody want to share if you're ready?
I made a big circle, and that's the big circle was God, and the little circle inside God was me.
Wow. Wow, that's beautiful. Okay. Margaret, do you want to share?
I guess I did the same thing.
That's beautiful.
Like I was the donut hole, and God's all around me.
Well, hold up your picture. Hold up your picture. Let's see.
Well, I was drawing something else too, so,
fine.
you
Okay.
can,
So the ladies, actually, I have to, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Guess what? So did I. It's very
yeah.
interesting because last time I did this experiment with a group of women, and I myself, originally, before I started to study the gate of trust, I drew two circles, a big circle, God, and a little circle outside, which is me. But the ultimate way we should look at it is the way you two women drew it, that God is the big circle and we're inside God, which, if I may say, is exactly what the goal is with the book of trust. That the Kabbalah says, what's God? Einaid milvadai. There's nothing but God. The whole world is only godliness. And the Alter Rebbe, Rabbi Shneir Zalman of Laldi, the first Chabad Rebbe, the first Lubavitcher Rebbe, writes in the Tanya, which is the Kabbalah primer, that when he's looked at the world, he didn't see a picture, he didn't see a glass, he didn't see a table, a chair, he saw God. That's the level he was at. Now, I'm not like that at all. I see a glass, a table, and a chair. But really, if you think about what he's saying that the whole world doesn't exist, only God exists. If God were to snap his fingers, the world would cease to exist because the world was made from nothingness. It's not like God made the world from glue and gems or cement and wood. God created the world from nothingness. Yesh me'ayin. That's why the world could just go back to nothingness if God would stop recreating the world every millisecond. So the truth is, this, what you both women drew, is the ultimate goal of how you view your relationship with life. God is the whole world. God is the whole paper. We are in God. Everything is dependent on God. So Margaret and Robin, you're ready to go. You don't have to study anymore. You're where you need to be. You're finito. Exactly what our goal is to realize is nothing but God. We are part of God. We are in God's realm, gravitation, whatever way you want to look at it. That's the ultimate goal. When you have betach and trust in God, means we know there's nothing but God. And whatever we do, whatever we will do, whatever we have to do, we're dependent on God to get us through it and to help us. Which reiterates the point we made over time, was that if you say to God, listen, I'm independent contractor. I do everything with my own energy. God, you could take a step back. God says, okay, you want me to take a step back? I'll take a step back. So I want to share a story where a very wealthy fellow's daughter married a very nice guy, but he didn't exactly have a career or a job. So the father-in-law says to son-in-law, come, I'll get you started in the business world. I'm going to give you this large sum of money. Go buy merchandise, fill up the wagon, and we'll sell it. That's how you make money. You buy wholesale, you sell retail. So the son-in-law takes this large sum of money, goes to the marketplace. He comes back. He wants to show his father-in-law what he bought. The Shalmazel bought a wagon full of matchsticks, toothpicks. His father was horrified. How did you, what? I gave you thousands of dollars. You bought a wagon of matchsticks, toothpicks? Who needs what are we going to do with it? Okay. He's horrified. His son-in-law is feels horrible. He says, I'm going to give you another large sum of money. This time, dear son-in-law, buy something that's useful. Buy something people actually need, not toothpicks. So his son-in-law says, okay. He goes to the marketplace and he comes back with a wagon and calls his father-in-law, and he has a wagon full of shofars, ram's horns. His father-in-law says, what? He says, well, you told me to buy something that's useful. On Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, everyone needs a ram's horn to blow in shul. He says, how many shofars do you think people need? Every shul needs one shofar. Who needs a shofar? How is this a useful item? Once a year, twice a year? What are you bringing it for? He can't believe what a shalmazel his son-in-law is. So he calls up one of his close business associates. He says, listen, I need your help. Somebody unloaded on me a wagon full of toothpicks. I need you to take it into the town and exchange it for something that's actually useful, or anything that you could get. His friend says, sure, I'll help you out. He calls his other business associate and he says, listen, I ended up with a wagon full of ram's horns, shofars. I need you to take it. Just get me anything you can find. I just don't know what I'm going to do with this wagon. His friend says, sure. Unbeknownst to him, the two business associates meet in the marketplace. One says to the other, listen, I have to unload this wagon of toothpicks. You have anything? He says, yeah, I have a wagon full of shofars. He says, okay, give me your shofars, I'll give you your toothpicks. And both business associates pull up in front of the house of the wealthy businessman, and they said, hi, we did what you asked us. I got toothpicks, gave my toothpicks, and I got shofars. Another one says, I got rid of the shofars and I got your toothpicks. And the businesses burst out laughing. He can't get over what was the lot that the two would meet and exchange the wagon. And he would end up with the same merchandise, right? So he's laughing and he can't get over the what do you call it, idiosyncrasy, whatever of the story. And his son-in-law says, Dad, father-in-law, when I brought you the two wagons, you cried, you got angry, you yelled at me. But when your associates brought you the same merchandise, you laughed. What's that all about? He says, well, I gave you real money. I gave you something valuable and you came back with nothing. Them, I gave them something invaluable and they came back with invaluable. So what did you expect? So that's what happens. God says to the human being, I put you on this earth. I gave you a godly soul. How you accomplish your mission, how what you do is up to you. But come back with something worthwhile that you have accomplished. Come back with something worthwhile. So when a person lacks trust in God and they come back with nothingness because they didn't have the time to say, I'll do whatever I can, but I have to rely on God, and they come back with nothingness, God says, listen, I gave you so much money, I gave you so much prosperity, and you came back with nothing. So that's how we have to look at it. God gives us the ability to become spiritual millionaires by trusting in God. All we have to do is tap into that and come back with something worthwhile and give more than we get, in a sense, because we have that ability. So I want to go back to the book of the Bitachon, and I want to review last week's lesson very quickly before we go on to the question is, why trust in God? And now ask yourself one important question. We're going to close with this. Who do you trust in your life and why? Who do you trust and why? And then we'll go on to understanding why trust in God is more pivotal and more powerful than trust in the human being. So now ask yourself for 2 seconds this question. Who do you trust and why? And while you're thinking, I'm going to just review last week's lesson that we said that the alchemist takes raw material and makes money. So the alchemist is the quintessential success story, because if you can make your own money, you're not dependent on anybody. And then we studied and learned that trust in God is even better than being the alchemist. Why? And he gives examples of why trust in God is more powerful than the alchemist. And I'm just going to quickly review them. And next week we'll discuss who we trust and why. Okay, so the alchemist, materials. How is he going to get materials? There might be a shortage of materials for him to make money. 2, harm. He could be harmed through the chemicals, the labor, the machinery. It's dangerous. Advice. He's scared to share with anybody any information about his work because he makes money. They'll steal his ideas or they'll harm him. So it's actually dangerous sometimes to be an alchemist. stock. He's always worried, did I buy too much merchandise? Maybe there won't be anybody to take it. Or do I buy too little merchandise and then I won't have enough to sell to others? So you never know, should I buy more stock? Maybe there'll be a shortage, or maybe if I overbuy, will I be able to get rid of my stock? And then health. Just because he makes a lot of money doesn't mean he's going to be healthy. Money doesn't buy health. And health can't be cured by money at times, right? Sometimes people say, I went to the best doctors and it didn't help. Sustenance. He might have gold, but sometimes even if you have precious jewelry or gold, but if there's a food shortage, people won't want to give you. They say, listen, I'd rather have the food than the gold. The 8th reason is he's always on the move. He can't stay in one place because he'll be arrested. If they find his location, the government will say, you have no right to make money, and they'll arrest him. So he always has to move from place to place. And community, he's scared of others. Again, if somebody finds out what he's doing, they might kill him. They don't want him to be a competition, or they may not want him to be doing, making money. When I'm an alchemist, I don't want an alchemist in my neighborhood. And a reward, he's secured against poverty, right? He has money, but it doesn't mean it's going to save him from everything in the world. Like they say, money can't buy happiness, but it can make misery more bearable, right? But can it save you from everything? Can it save you from a plane crash? Can it save you from a car crash? Can it save you from illness? Absolutely not. At most, the reward is you're not poor. So these are the 10 reasons why you can't depend only on your own trade, your own profession, even if you're a moneymaker. Why trust in God supersedes everything, because God can take care of all these 10 problems, 1, 2, 3. God is not limited by anything. God is not limited by having enough stock. God can always give you good health. You don't have to run away because God is everywhere. You don't have to hide when you trust in God. Where you live is where you can make your money. So when a person knows that they have trust, they're not limited by the 10 things that hold back even someone who makes money. So we're going to end with this, and I'm going to wish everybody a wonderful Shabbos. Don't forget to light Shabbos candles 18 minutes before sunset. And I want to end off summation with the Torah portion that Queen Elizabeth, she became queen when she was a young girl, a young woman. Her mother became the queen mother. Her father died young and she became queen. I think she was the longest reigning queen in England. Anyway, her mother was very grouchy. So they were in there traveling one day together, and her mother's kvetching. So she says, Mama, stop kvetching, stop complaining, stop being such a grouch. So her mother says to her, who do you think you are talking to me that way? So Queen Elizabeth looks at her mother, and she goes, Mama, who do you think I am? I'm Queen Elizabeth. I'm the Queen of England. That's who I am. So when the Esau comes and says, who are you? Who do you think you are? You always have to say, who I am? I am a queen. I am a princess. I am a prince. I'm a king, because I come from the matriarchs and the patriarchs. That's who I think I am. We cannot, anyone will undermine who we are, our identity as Jews, as descendants of Abraham and Sarah, Yitzchak, and Rivka, and Jacob, and Rachel, and Leah. We always have to remember, who am I? I'm a queen. That's who I am, because of my connection to God and my lineage. We have to stay strong as Jews. That's the secret to our survival. Anyway, everybody have a wonderful, wonderful Shabbos.
Good Shabbos.